Welcome to this explainer. Today, we've got an absolutely fascinating text to unpack together. We aren't just looking at a simple pop song here. We're literally mapping out the anatomy of a crush. Specifically, we're talking about that crazy modern phenomenon where a casual, bored-in-bed internet search rapidly spirals into a physically overwhelming, totally life-altering obsession. So let's dive right in and see exactly how this romantic fixation gets built, step by step. We're actually going to completely bypass our usual agenda today and just dive straight into the deep end with this specific lyric, left hook, right punch to the gut. Notice how this instantly establishes the stakes. We're definitely not dealing with cute little butterflies in the stomach here. We are analyzing a text that contrasts totally mundane moments with violent, visceral, physical reactions. The typical language of falling in love, it's completely replaced with the language of taking a physical beating. And that tells us exactly the kind of intense, chaotic ride our protagonist is on. I mean, come on, we've all had those crushes that hit just a little too hard, right? Which brings us to part one, the setup and the vision. So, there's a really distinct progression to this modern infatuation. Step one, we start with our protagonist completely isolated, just a passive observer who is simply bored in bed and stalking their target on the internet. Then we hit step two, moving straight into the psychological realm. The protagonist claims feminine intuition and describes actually having a vision of the two of them together. Finally, step three hits us with this huge, jarring reality check. Suddenly, they aren't separated by a phone screen anymore. They are literally pressed up in the bathroom line. It's this incredibly rapid shift from an isolated, private little fantasy to intense, unavoidable physical proximity. Now that they're physically standing next to each other in this cramped bathroom line, you really have to look at how the protagonist's perception completely warps. The lyrics say, "You're looking like an angel on the walls of Versailles." Okay, the literal setting of a sticky, crowded bar bathroom line has completely vanished from her mind. Instead, she elevates this target to the status of high art, projecting these pure, angelic qualities onto them, all surrounded by the imagined crazy opulence of a French palace. It is a massive, massive leap in romantic idealization. Honestly, we've probably all been there, right? Suddenly convinced the person standing right in front of us at some random dive bar belongs in a literal museum. And this sudden physical presence demands a total reevaluation of everything, including music itself. The lyrics give us this absolutely incredible line. "You know all the words to Just Like Heaven, and I know why he wrote them now that you're standing right here." It's such a brilliant meta-reference to another famous song, and it perfectly illustrates the sheer immediate impact of this person's physical presence. And hey, remember, the protagonist noted earlier that the bar closes at 11, so there's a ticking clock here. The pressure of time running out just amplifies this profound, overwhelming realization that she suddenly understands the true, deep meaning of a love song literally just by standing next to this person. Moving right along to part two, paranoia and physical reactions. When we actually stop and contrast the actions happening here with the physical reactions, the reality is honestly pretty shocking. Incredibly simple, standard romantic actions, like just standing right here or the mere suggestion to kiss me, trigger symptoms that sound way closer to a severe medical emergency than a traditional romance. Her body is completely rejecting any sense of calm. Feel like I might throw up. Left hook, right punch to the gut. Might drop dead. I mean, seriously, who hasn't felt like they literally needed to call an ambulance just for making awkward eye contact with a crush? But it's not just physical, is it? It's heavily psychological, too. The lyrics straight up declare, "You're so, so pretty, boy, and paranoid I made you up." The protagonist is just so entirely overwhelmed by the sheer perfect existence of this person that they actually begin to question their own reality and sanity. The line between that internet stalking vision we talked about earlier and the actual physical person standing right in front of them is beginning to dangerously, wonderfully blur. All of this builds into the ultimate contradiction, perfectly capturing the core thematic paradox of these lyrics. On the one hand, the protagonist claims this exact moment makes them feel the most alive I've ever been. But literally in the very same breath, they admit, "But kiss me and I might drop dead." It's a total emotional extreme. They're experiencing maximum peak vitality while simultaneously feeling like they are on the absolute brink of death just from the sheer anticipation of a kiss. It's an entirely unsustainable, chaotic state of being. So how do they handle it? Let's look at part three, dropping hints and questions. The lyrics drop a list of actual real-world conversational topics used to cope with this chaos. They offer chewing gum, then just jump right into rapid-fire geography questions. Have you ever been to Japan? Taken that Eurostar to France? I mean, think about how incredibly mundane these icebreakers are compared to the literal life-or-death internal monologue we were just looking at. These little pieces of travel trivia are being utilized as a complete conversational smokescreen. The protagonist claims they have a bunch of stuff I'd like to know, but really? Keeping the target engaged with these totally random questions is just a frantic, desperate effort to mask their own internal panic. Because, you see, here is the absolute truth behind all that rapid-fire chatting. The ultimate goal of all these questions about Japan and fancy trains in France is actually entirely, almost innocently simple. As the lyric goes, they've been dropping hints all night that I'd love if you held my hand. That's it. Beneath the intense paranoia, beneath the violent physical reactions and the sophisticated travel trivia, is just an overwhelming, simple hope that the target picks up on the subtle clues to initiate the most basic form of physical contact, just holding hands. And that brings us to our final section, Part 4, Pisces, Gemini, and Forever. Let's trace the timeline of this massive escalation. We start with the immediate pressure. The bar closes at 11 p.m. From there, the protagonist hopes the target will walk me home, asking them to go real slow. But then, wow, do the requests accelerate wildly. From walking slowly, it jumps straight to maybe we could make out, close off and fall to the ground. And if they stay the night, well, the ultimate conclusion is reached immediately. I think I might just have to stay forever. It is a dizzying, absolutely massive leap from a simple request to walk home straight into a demand for a literal, lifelong commitment. So you might be wondering, how does the protagonist logically justify this massive, instantaneous jump to stay forever? Well, they look to the stars, of course. The lyrics introduce astrological signs to plead their case. They specifically acknowledge the pairing, a Pisces and a Gemini. Now, despite whatever astrological friction might normally exist between those two signs, the lyrics confidently conclude that we might go really nice together. Because let's be real, when you're literally planning a wedding in your head after 5 minutes, you are absolutely hoping cosmic alignment will back up your incredibly rapid descent into total obsession. The sudden shift in confidence here is just remarkable. They boldly declare, "Let's go steady. Let's go out and tell the whole damn world how." The narrative has completely evolved. Remember, we started this whole explainer with a secret, isolated, slightly paranoid fantasy formulated while just bored in bed. Now, it has transformed into an aggressive, super confident desire for a public, world-facing declaration of a relationship. The internal monologue has burst completely out into the external world. Bringing our explainer all the way back to the titular lyric, this phrase, which gets repeated throughout the entire climax of the text, serves as the ultimate summary of the track. Kiss me and I might drop dead. It leaves us with the defining thesis of this entire interaction, an infatuation so intensely felt and so terrifyingly rapid in its escalation that the mere realization of it literally, physically threatens the protagonist's very existence. As we wrap up our analysis today, I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to ponder. Is what we just mapped out a genuine case of cosmic compatibility destined by the stars? Or is it just the dangerous runaway intuition of a bored internet stalker getting entirely caught up in their own wild fantasy? It's a razor-thin line between romantic destiny and overwhelming obsession, isn't it? Thank you so much for walking through this explainer with me. Keep analyzing, and I'll catch you on the next one.